stream to go live. I see a lot of people already. Hello. I'm just waiting for the live to start on the other. Okay, it's good. Just hold on. I will cut the sound. Okay, no. It's good. Okay, so there's people already online. Hey all. Welcome to Wake Up by Galaxy. This is episode 7. I'm Sofia, your host, and we have today Jordan Crawford from Los Angeles, and we will discuss all about cold email in 2022. I was just discussing with him, and we just opened a Pandora box about cold email. All the things we have learned before, I think this will be another topic. We will start a little bit different because it's always people introducing the topic. So I will read for him some facts I found on the internet. We will discuss a little bit about how cold email is on the internet, and then he will start with his presentation. Before we start, we want you to share a little bit about your company, because at the end of the presentation, he will take some examples of people participating. So if you want to leave we have some questions. Do you want to share them with them before we start, or should we wait?
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. I'm in San Francisco, not LA. Those are fighting words.
I'm so sorry.
It's from Northern California.
Okay, so I'm a little nervous.
That's okay. I vaguely know where France is on a map, so I think that's okay.
No, but I know Los Angeles and San Francisco are different.
I will be in LA this weekend though, so it's you're very close.
Okay.
So actually, this is going to be probably one of the most interactive webinars that you've ever been to. I'm going to give you kind of a frame of a problem here about how to think about cold email and go to market. And then I'm going to sort of give you some questions to drop in the chat here, so we can do a go-to-market hot take live for your business. So we're going to ask you 3 questions, which I'll sort of prep in a minute here, so that I can give you this type of thinking directly for your business on the fly. It won't be perfect. It'll be a little dirty because I don't have any context of your business, but it should help you kind of think in this way. And as a quick intro for who I am, my name is Jordan Crawford. I've been building B2B growth systems since 2016. This is the first hire at Zinc.com, a YC Winner 14 company, moved them from 1 to 100 million in GMV. And since then, I built growth systems for companies like Main Street, Vouch, Ironclad, Shelf, and more to help them get double-digit reply rates on their email and 5 to 10x improvement on their ads by drastically improving targeting and by helping them do go-to-market by pain, not persona. So that's the quick intro.
Thank you, Jordan. So people is asking if we're going to share the record. Yes, I will send you the record via email like 1 week before after, so next week. If you want to leave your questions, you can use the Q&A section or the chat, and I will read them for you at the end of the video. I think we have, wait. Okay, so Vicenzo already shared his information. So at the end of the presentation, we will have the time for the hot takes, okay? So I will start reading you some facts I found, and you can tell me what you think. So we will go from general to a little bit more specific about cold email.
I love this. So much wrong information on the internet. I'm looking forward to correcting this.
I was a little bit amazed, and I thought I found a lot of basic stuff, but I don't know if it's that basic. Okay, I will share with you what I found. So first thing I found, when you do cold email, when you're selling, you are not selling. You are like the sales technique is not to sell. You need to break the ice first and then go and sell. What do you think about this?
I think that this sounds great, but it's a terrible idea, because the problem is if you're cold emailing, you don't know what's below the ice. And so the problem is what's below the ice. And so what you're saying is like, oh, hey, I see that you like dogs. I like dogs too. And then you go below the ice and they're like, great, we both like dogs. Let's have a conversation. So let's say that someone replies to that. And then what happens is they're like, oh, well, we don't have a finance team. And you sell finance services? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Like, okay, I'll move on to the next person. So you're just spending a lot of time focusing on social lubrication and not focusing on what is the problem the company has? What problems have you solved in the past? And how can you be certain that that person at that company has a problem for you to solve?
Okay, so sell right away.
Well, no, that's like the least generous description of
smoothly, but steadily.
But I mean, it's not to say that you shouldn't be cordial. Like I'm not saying like yell at people and then write it on caps. But I think that the important. Well, but the important point is that, and I haven't sort of set up this argument yet, so I'll do that a little bit, but it's about the context the company is in, not who the person is. And so this is this idea of icebreakers, is that I have to address that person, but they have a job to be done in their role, right? They have to reduce marketing spend. They have to increase conversions. They have to hire 30 people in the next days. And if your solution can help them with that, all you have to do is tell them why you think that you can help their business in the context of their business. That's the problem, is that when you read most of these emails, it's a lot of I sentences. I'm at BluePrintData. Here's what I do. Here's who I am. Here's who I have. It has nothing to do with you. And no one cares about you. They care about themselves. And so you just need to reframe this, like, here's who I am. Here's what I do, to here's the public data. Here's my research. I'm presenting my research to you. Did I get it right? And if you've already decoded this research from your customers' buying moments, usually that email is actually insightful to them, that you're providing them a teaching moment. And they're like, wow, this person is really an expert. So telling them about their business, it actually is helpful to converting that lead. And it doesn't have to involve any personalization in the sense of who that person is versus what problems their company has.
Okay, good. Thank you. So now, this is an easy one. Like, how many messages, according to your experience, is good at follow-up? If the prospect didn't answer the first message, how many is not like the limit, not to stalk them?
I'm going to answer Chris's message here. How to do that in cold email. Well, that's why you're here. Stick around for the whole thing. How many follow-ups to do? That's as much information as you have to share, as many insights as you have to share. So in many cases, I will take the insights that I've downloaded for the entire market about that company and share that in a series of sequences. So the thing what usually happens is that if you dump all of that context into one message, it becomes long. People sort of tune out. And so what you want to do is kind of trickle that over, start with the very best sort of message that you have, trickle those insights over a handful of messages. But that's not really helpful, I found, to say like, hey, do you still want to talk? Or and there are some tactics that I'll use, like, hey, I won't send another email again. So I will use the breakup sort of tactic. But the problem with like how many emails to send is it's begging the question of, well, what do you have to say? And really the length and the number of emails you should send should be proportionate to the amount of insights you have to share.
Okay, good. Okay, and what if they say no? Because I found that you can do a follow-up later, but I don't know if that's too intrusive. If the person said, no, thank you, would you send another email? Would you just put it in the blacklist and never?
Well, okay, so the thing about good sales is that the worst responses are maybes. And so like I'm going to share a vulnerable moment here. I had a conversation with a lead, and we were having really good dialogue. She was like, I love what you're doing. I'm really into this. And she ended the conversation with, well, let's stay connected on LinkedIn. And that was just like the worst thing that I could have heard, because it's not a no, it's not a not right now, it's not a yes, it's a I would love to stay on the line. And you need to kick people off that line. So if someone says, no, thank you, that is a blessing to me. I'm like, fantastic. That means either A, that I need to describe my products or services better. I need to B, do targeting better, or probably just those two, or that that they're just not right. They're, for whatever reason, it's not the right time for them. And so I'm not going to constantly chase that person. They know what I do. They'll follow up if they're interested. There's so many more fish in the sea. So for me to engage in a relationship with any business, there has to be mutual interest. There has to be a give and take. So I'm not going and chasing down people and really sort of forcing something on them, because it means, weirdly enough, that they will be a worse client for your product or service.
Okay. Now about content. So free of links in your cold email is better than putting a link because of the firewalls. So it's better to send just like a basic text and then wait for them to look for you with your domain, because they can Google you. So do you think this is a good tactic? It's not? Do you think they will actually Google you, or they will just?
I'm going to talk in my circle of competence here, and my circle of competence is not email delivery, spam words. There's a lot of great tools. Reply.io is a great one here to be able to see, like, are you using stop words in your messages, right? Words that Gmail is sort of, I honestly have found, just in my personal experience, that email warming tools generally end up like landing more of my messages to spam if I haven't been sending stuff. But the question about links is, the problem is not necessarily with the email deliverability, which I won't speak to, but the problem is that you're optimizing for one thing in a cold email, and that's a reply. So a lot of people get this wrong, is that they think that it's a win. There's like three patterns that people get wrong here. One, they try to use cold email as marketing. Hey, Jordan, click here and sign up for this thing. Like that's a marketing message. You need to deliver that on Facebook, on LinkedIn, not in a cold email. Cold email is a one-to-one channel. It would be weird if you showed up at a bar and you said to someone, hey, thanks for being at this bar, sign up at this thing. Like, that's a strange interaction. It's a one-to-one medium. You should be having one-to-one interactions. That's problem one. Problem two is that people will ask double-barreled questions. Is this interesting to you? And also, you can schedule me here. That's the cognitive load to do that is too much. And also, all you want to do in an email, in a great cold email, is verify that you got the pain right. So I'm going to send you an email, and I want to make sure, it seems like this is the situation that you are in based on my research. It seems like this is the problem that you are trying to solve. And here's an existing case study of when a customer tried to solve that problem. Here are the results they had with my service. Do you have that problem? And a link is just a great way to engage the monkey mind for someone to go say, oh, Twitter, and just leave. And you don't get a reply. And, who converts on a website? Like, very few people convert on a website. So get them to reply and validate that you got their pain right. That's all you have to do in a cold email.
The pain. Okay, good. And now what about looking for your database? Like, the most accurate data I found, it was on LinkedIn. So what do you think about this? Like, the most updated data you will find, it will be on LinkedIn.
Yeah, this is a real challenge, because a lot of the databases that you'll find are 30, 60, 90. This is like why the data market still exists, because every new data person will say, we have the most updated data. And so I think that I wouldn't trust any individual data source to be the crux of my message. What I'll generally will do is I will stack insights. So that if any one, I will stack observations to come to an insight. And if any one observation is slightly off, it doesn't tank my response. So in many cases, there are some variables that I will source day of from something like LinkedIn, like employee count. And employee count also is a really hard one, because even raw LinkedIn data is I'm an advisor to a bunch of companies, right? And there are like people that are community members of different communities, right? And so it's like, wow, you have 300 employees. It's like, no, we have 12 people. We just have a lot of people in our community, and they like add us as a employer on LinkedIn. So the world is a messy place. And I don't know that there's any like sort of silver bullet of a data source here. But when you talk about multiple observations, you have a customer, you have multiple anchor points that generally people aren't like, I have 100 employees, not 50 employees, like go, F off. So which will happen if you rely on one data point. And so, that's a problem.
Okay, now
And feel free, by the way, anyone, feel free to ask questions in the chat here.
This is like the Q&A section that we will do before. There will be another one after if you have questions. But now, if you have any like meat you want to break from cold email, you can do it now. Another thing I found is like the open rate goes between 15 to 30% open rate, and this depends on your industry. What do you think of this?
Open rates are the siren song that you just should not focus on, because no one ever built a business on 100% open rate. Like, you just can't, like you're not going to go to your boss and be like, hey, guess what? 100% of people opened my message, so you can take me out to that steak dinner, right? It's like, well, how many people replied? Well, no one did. Like, so, and also like iOS 15 will block pixels. There's a new sort of private cloud relay that Apple has that will, that basically makes a lot of this tracking technology not work anymore. And so you need to, the only thing that you should focus on in a cold email is like positive reply rate, because that's where the winner chicken dinner comes in. You can't build a business on open rates.
Okay, well, that's important, because actually I was thinking, okay, they will open your email, but that doesn't mean they will reply or they are interested.
Yeah. I mean, look, like, I'm not saying just like, I'm not saying throw the baby out the bathwater. There is some interesting data in there. Like, do you write interesting subject lines? What people never do, which I'm kind of surprised at, frankly, I don't do this either, but this is like a great hack, is that no one ever previews their email in an email preview tool. Like here in the States, we have this coffee company called Pete's, and they will always like indent and throw an emoji. And so if I scroll, the Pete's messages are always differentiated in their preview lines. And that's like an area of real estate that no one uses to optimize.
Actually, I read something about its subject lines, that it will increase the open rate if you do a catchy subject line instead of just like.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, you shouldn't give it away. Yeah, you should, your subject line shouldn't say something like, it should say something like a 32% increase, ? But it shouldn't say something like quick question, right? There are these patterns that are so worn. I'm going to answer a couple questions in the chat here, if that's okay. Okay, could you show examples of successful campaigns in terms of copy, open rate, and reply rate? So I'm not going to, these are, unfortunately, like a lot of this is proprietary because my customers will hire me to do this, but I will give you examples that I've written, like an example of a template that I use very frequently, as well as some example copy that I might use in a fictional scenario. So I will do that. And in terms of, I don't really focus on, I will tell you copy, I don't really focus on open rate, but reply rate, anywhere between 50 to 33% is what my clients typically get for the successful campaigns. Now, I run plenty of campaigns that just flop, right? Like awful. But that's why you just have to kind of test, and you're not going to get it right the first time. But the good thing is that if you do, you can automate the things that work well. How long is your typical first email? Is many words, how many words is too much? This is a tactical question. I think it's really, again, what you have to say. My best performing email was a Shakespearean play, honestly. It got 11% positive reply rates from founders and Series A companies, and $1 million in closed won deals in 3 months of the campaign being live. And it was, it was a homer, right? What's preferred cadence for cold email outreach sequence? Like pain, value, intro, email, case study, second email. This is a great question. And you know what? I honestly haven't spent enough time thinking about sort of combos or 1-2 punches. I mostly spend most of my time on the research and how can I accurately distill that research into valuable insights for them. So I spend almost all my time there. And so the copy I usually get for free, and I'll explain that. How clickbait should you make the subject line? You should not mislead. So if you send an email that says your wife is pregnant and that is not about your wife being pregnant, like there's a cold spot in hell for you, because there's no way that anyone's going to reply to that, because that's clickbait. But there's nothing wrong with saying like, 32%. You're spending $3,468 too much, right? But then you have to go explain why they're spending that amount of money. So what are 3 particular qualities required for the ideal mindset of a cold email? This is my favorite question. I love this question. And this question is like the crux of my presentation, because The problem here is that you need to reframe how you think, how you do research, and this cannot be done at the SDR level, or it's very hard to be done at the SDR level. You need company buy-in. It does require data sets and synthesizing information, and it generally starts with your existing customers. This is so much harder to do at the 0 to 1 stage, where you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. Most of what I'm going to be talking about is going to orient you towards the 1 to 2 phase, when you have 50 to 100 customers. And between that 0 to 1 phase, I don't know that there's a brilliantly great way, except for throwing spaghetti at the wall, because you don't know who your customers are. You don't know the value that you provide. You don't have product marketing fit. Like, you just have to try a bunch of stuff.
Okay, we're done. Do you want to start with your presentation?
Yeah. Great.
This was the introduction to your presentation. Wait, well, there's one more. Can you please elaborate more on the subject of the email? Well, we have a special episode for copy. I think it's episode 5 of this series of webinars. So I will share it with you if you want to know more about copy, because I don't know if you want to share. Well, you can share if you want, but we have an episode focused only on copywriting. So
let's see if I can pop up the chat while I'll have the chat open while I'm presenting. So I will Philip, I will try to get to your subject question, and Amir, I will get to your insights question and presentation. So I'm going to be talking about go-to-market patterns and how to do cold emails in 2022. As I go along, please do comment on the chat if you have questions. If you want me to elaborate, I will. So here's the outline. I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible so that we can actually get to your example companies. I can talk about basically provide you some helpful context and how I might do this for you. So this will give you a better sense of the sort of the nuts and bolts of this in your context. So that might answer the subject line question too. So we're going to talk about patterns of GTM, go to market. So I'll use that phrase a lot. It means go to market. Scoring with TAM, total addressable market. So that's what TAM means. So when I say TAM, you'll know it's the total addressable market. I'll give you some playbook examples here. Now, what I don't want you to do is say, that's the playbook, I'm going to copy that, because you need to bring the insights to your leads. And that's, the sort of the 1.0 version of this was, hey, I saw you raise money. You have money now. I like money. Can I have your money? A lot of people use that kind of a trigger, and raising money might be useful for your product, but it is a poor proxy for a problem. And then this is when we're going to do go-to-market hot takes. So get prepared for your hot take. This is the first thing. So get out a pen and paper, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions to post here in the chat. I want to know what your website is so I can pull it up here. I want to know who your customers, so industry and buyer. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is most useful for people whose buyers are on LinkedIn. That's where there's lots of rich data. And then Maxine, don't do this now. We'll do this at the end, but I want you to prepare this. So write this down. And what job do your customers hire you to solve? It's okay, don't worry about it. This is the jobs to be done framework. So this is Clayton Christensen's. What are the jobs to be done that they're hiring? Clayton Christensen talks about this as when people go to McDonald's, they hire a milkshake. And why do they hire a milkshake? Well, it depends. In the morning, they actually hire a milkshake because they don't want to get their hands dirty, because they want to travel on the way to work and not get cream cheese from a bagel all over themselves. They can't have a spoon because they're driving. In the evening, people hire a milkshake to keep their kids quiet. So they'll give their milkshake to their kids and be like, oh, and so the thicker, so you could think about, these are really 2 problems that a milkshake can solve. In the sort of kid case, you might think about making it thicker, so it actually takes longer so the parents can have more of a rest. So that's some example. Let's talk about patterns go to market. So the way that this almost always starts is that the founder does manual sales. This is how almost every business starts, right? And it's really great because it helps them explore product market fit deeply, try different buyers and personas, even though they might not speak in that language. And it works because they test a lot. They learn what doesn't work. They have clout, they're a founder, they have helpful networks, and they develop a super nuanced understanding of who is and isn't their customer. Usually founders or heads of sales will be able to look at a website, look at LinkedIn, look at the public data and be like, that is my customer. And I know that they have my problem. But After you have product market fit, you need to scale, right? And so I think that the problem can be summed up here is that we shape our tools and thereafter our tools shape us. And what I mean by this is that there used to be a challenge where we didn't have everyone's contact information in the world. And the hard thing was actually finding someone's email, finding their phone number. And now Zoom Info exists. You can get everyone's contact email, but you don't have anything interesting to say to them. So at the time, the people that won were like, I'm going to be the first user of Zoom Info. I'm going to send emails to everyone. People aren't getting emails. I can describe our product or service poorly, and they don't get enough emails, they'll reply. But we're still trapped in that world psychologically, and we don't have better ideas. So what we do is we hire sales, we throw bodies at the problem. And the problem is that there's no leverage here, right? Basically, the founder says, I was doing sales part-time and I'm not even a sales professional. You're a professional salesperson. You should do it full-time, right? You're going to have great results because you know how to sell. I was just making it up. But the thing is that the founder never downloads their context. They never talk about who buys. They never define their ICP or their buyer persona. They don't ever tell the sales rep the 106 things that didn't work. And these sales reps are like, yeah, they're just like, let's get it, right? Like that's kind of the personality of a sales rep. I know I do sales, so they're excited to go do that, but they're not providing any leverage. Sorry. So path 2 is you pay a bunch of money for marketing. And the thing is that all the great marketing tools know that you don't know your customers. And I had a conversation with a company that's doing over $100 million in revenue that is literally in this bucket right now. How insane is that? They don't really know their customers because they're able to give Google and Facebook $1, and Google or Facebook give them $1.50. But the problem is that these tools are all designed to optimize for clicks. They don't tell you who they're targeting. They don't say, they don't actually report back to you and say, you may think that your ICP is SaaS companies between 50 and 100, but we have determined it's actually construction companies, 1 to 10 people. Like, they don't tell you that. They don't give you insight on who clicks, on why they clicked. And the way that people solve this in B2B is in B2C, sorry, we're talking about B2B, but in B2C, they just try a bunch of messaging and they let Facebook figure out the targeting. This is not a good idea for B2B. And the problem here is that there's no path to 10x. You literally cannot improve your marketing if you don't have an idea of who you're targeting, because if you don't know who you're targeting, you don't know what to say to them. And this is a problem. All right. You need a better strategy. So give me a place to stand with a lever and I will move the whole world. So I'm going to give you a lever. That's what this presentation is, a lever. So the first thing you need to do is translate the context of the founder or the head of sales or whoever has a really, really good understanding of your existing customers. It has to start with your existing customers. And, if you're at 5, 10, 15 customers, there might not be enough there. And if you look at them, you might say, ooh, well, Jordan, 3 of these are in one industry, 3 are in another, 3 are in another. Like, those are good hypotheses, but really you need to go do whatever way you can to get 5, 10, 50, 100 of those same types of customers. And then you need to pause and say, great, let's figure out who is our ICP, who is our buyer persona, what is the inflection point that people buy my product or service, and then go look for that inflection point. So let's talk about that next. Score your entire total addressable market. This seems crazy, right? There's so hundreds of thousands of domains. How could you ever do this? Well, there are brilliant new tools in the market like harmonic.ai, for example, that will allow you at a very reasonable price to get data on 1.2 million companies. You can, and there's lots of other types of tools like SimilarWeb or even SpyFu. You can use tools like SayPrimer to do targeting here, People Data Labs to be able to understand people movement. There's just so many of these tools now. Apollo actually gives you free downloads of company information. Like, how crazy is that? I don't charge anything for it. So prices have come down enough that you can get data on the entire market. But this is not helpful unless you take step 1 first, which is downloading that context. And really, this allows you to have an omni-channel pain messaging versus a multi-channel pain messaging. That means that you can send someone a Facebook ad, a LinkedIn ad, a cold email, a LinkedIn Connect, about the same pain, that you can contact that same person and they can start seeing messaging about their exact pain. All right. So no questions. Maybe I'm doing such a good job here that that I'm speaking perfectly.
It's perfect. For now, it's really clear. Well, I think so. Yes.
Good. Yeah. Please stop me if anything that I say doesn't make any sense. So, the second step is to score your total addressable market. And what we do for our clients is we think about a TSM, total serviceable market. This is also called a SAM, which is a service addressable market. We think it's so much better to a TAM, because the way people think about TAMs usually is their eyes are bigger than their mouth. Who can you sell to? As long as they had 2 ears and 2 hands, they can buy my product. And every sales rep that you chat with, if you say, who don't you sell to, you'll stop them dead in their tracks. It's a good party trick. Who shouldn't use your service? No one thinks about that. So you need a TSM. So sorry, I'm going to ask this question. When is the right time to get insight from clients? 20 clients. So this depends. It depends on I think that this word is heteroscedasticity. It's like how similar is the data, right? So if you have 20 customers with the exact same ICP, exact same buyer persona, that might be enough. But if they're in a variety of different industries, you're solving, they're consuming 3 or 4 different parts of your product, it might not be enough. Generally, we talk about this as like 100 plus. All right, TSM. So the TSM needs to be defined from your customer's perspective. And here's sort of 3 key ideas to take away. If we picked a random company, and I'm going to talk about this scoring in a second, how to do this. So like, hold your horses. This is the concept. If we picked a random company from the hat, 80% should be likely qualified to buy your product or service. That means that if you got on a phone call with them and you said the price is $300,000, they should say, how about 400,000? Because they're in so much pain that they could benefit from your service. And the really good way to do this is actually to score your existing customers.
How do
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you know they're in so much pain?
Yeah, so this is what we'll get to in a second here. This is where you have to match what you do to public data to decode their pain. And generally, this starts with your existing customers and their exact moment that they were in, and bringing that insight to another customer. So I will give you an example of that. So basically, limited to employees and location is not enough. We need at least one additional qualifier that is most likely they care about. In this case, this is a company that helped with demos. So improving their whatever, right? So you want to look at how can you tell that this person really cares about the particular pain that you solve. And so for Waxley, it might actually be number of LinkedIn followers, right? So if a company has a number of LinkedIn followers, even relative to their employee size, so if you have 10 employees, but 100,000 LinkedIn followers, you are active as hell on LinkedIn. People love you on LinkedIn. So Harmonic.ai would give you that data, and you can say, aha, I know that this company loves LinkedIn. So that's going to be a good qualifier for me to know if they want to automate some of their LinkedIn. And the key here is if we scored your existing customers by this rubric with no insider baseball, that's an American sport, what would that look like for customers? So that's the key. The scoring rubric has to apply to your customers too. All right. So what we're going to go is we're actually going to go into some existing sort of TAM and TSM scoring that I've done for a client. So you can see exactly sort of what this looks like. So the first thing that I did is this company sells to B2B, and they gave me their traditional TAM qualifiers, right? And it turns out that, boy, their TAM was like a little too small. So they had, 7,700 domains with greater than 10 sales reps in B2B, 12,000 domains with greater than 5. And then I didn't have some data on coverage. So even if you said, what are companies with more than 5 sales reps that, or unknown sales reps within, they had some other qualifiers like total headcount, et cetera. That's 34,000 domains. That's not enough. And one of the things that you might think about in terms of TSM is ratios. Ratios is something I like to talk a lot about. So in this case, they have 1 person in marketing and 10 people in sales. Well, and I'm not going to tell you what that means. This should be an insight that you have from your existing customers. So don't take the tactic and weaponize it. That's not helpful. You actually want to be able to say, how does this relate to my existing customers? But as an example here, this organization is driving almost all of their leads by sales. So marketing is way underserviced. So this poor marketing person has to maybe drive as many leads as these 10 salespeople. So that might mean that 128 Technologies is someone that you should reach out to and say, hey, Jordan, it looks like you're the only person in marketing. And I noticed that you're spending $10,000 a month on Facebook. Could you use some help? Now, obviously, you're going to want to talk about this in the context of your product, but 505 Games, the opposite challenge, right? Huge on marketing, low on relatively low on sales. So this ratio might tell me something interesting. This is a screenshot from harmonic.ai. I really do love their product. So headcount's greater than 51 to 250, and this is the headcount growth percentage in the last year, basically greater than 5%. So these are kind of mid-market companies that are growing fast. Generally, this is too small for a TAM. I like to, if you're a venture-backed company and you're trying to get to $1 trillion, you want to have a TAM that's north of 80,000 domains. What SaaS is that? So then say, okay, well, let's actually say we want people with more than 5 million funding. And I don't mean this to be an advertising for Harmonic, but they will get funding data from legal filings. So their funding data is pretty good. And even undisclosed stuff they'll get to. So this is just too small of a TAM. If you look at this poll from LinkedIn, right? Okay, well, how many sales folks do they have? These are some interesting industries. 28,000. Again, it's a little too small. So,
sorry, can you share again the name of the tool you were showing before, Sales Navigator?
This is harmonic.ai. This screenshot?
Yes.
Yeah, this is harmonic.ai.
Okay.
Really fantastic. They're super affordable. I think a Crunchbase Pro license at scale is north of $100,000. Harmonic is not that. So if you want, feel free to ping me. I'll make an introduction to Akbar Khan, their head of growth. They're fantastic. Or you should go on their website if you like. So for this, it's not Apollo. Apollo, I do really like Apollo, but this is actually a paid company data source. So for this particular suggestion, it's let's create a wider net and then enrich. So let's actually look at a little bit, increase the number of employees here. Let's look at sales greater than 5, and then sales headcount growth greater than 10%. This is a tool that helps sales. So we really care about how are they investing in sales. So then, then what you want to do is, can you get this info in ZoomInfo? Maybe. I'm not as super familiar with ZoomInfo because ZoomInfo charges you per company as an export. So to get 30,000 domains or something is going to cost you a ridiculous amount of money in ZoomInfo. So the nice thing, Harmonic is all you can eat for as much as you want. So if you want to do this scoring on 80,000 domains, you're not going to pay per domain. And that's the kind of interesting inflection point that we've reached here, where data is now cheap enough that we can do some cool things. So once we've kind of got this list of 150,000 companies, we want to look at technology. So we want to kind of understand a little bit about who they are. So are they using, and I shouldn't slam Marketo here, but are they using older technology like Marketo that's been around for a while? Are they sort of using some more kind of semi-modern technology like Demandbase, or are they using newer technology like Clearbit? And so these are just some examples of technology dispersion. So this is you can get this data with BuiltWith, BUILT with.com. Gary is just fantastic over there. But understanding some technology dispersion is a good way to know what are their sales and marketing motions look like? How important is this stuff to them? So this is actually some built with insights that I worked with brickstack.com to compile. So we were working for a company that had a marketing integration tool. And one of the things that was really important to them is, what are their integrations list relative to the tools that this company could connect with? So in this case, Algolia, it's a hard word to say, had 20 integrations that worked with this company's tool. How many of them were marketing pixels? So one of the things that we found out about marketing pixels is that the more marketing pixels you add, you have to go ask an engineer to manually add another marketing pixel. So this tool, you add it once and you would never have to do that again. So that means that this company was like manually adding and removing marketing pixels. And you don't see it here, but there were, identify. So identify was really interesting. So identify calls are when you have to like talk to the backend to ask for like, who is this user? And every new tool that has an identify call, but you need to, an engineer needs to manually hook that up. So this company removed all that. You did one call one time, and then a marketer, a salesperson can like plug in. So this person had a lot of supported integrations. They were doing things in the worst possible way because they were manually installing a bunch of different identify calls. So they had a morass of tools that talk to their tools, and then also they seem to care about marketing. So marketing insights seem to be pretty important to them. And you can't see this, but this actually is a human natural language list of tools. So MailChimp, Marketo, and Addressable, right? So you can actually just use this in the personalization of the email. So by doing this insight up front, this list went on forever. So I can actually automate an email to all these people, and what that looks like. You asked about messaging. Let's like the subject line, 10 hours a week for your 86 engineers. Hey, Jordan, I took a download of Algolia's context online. It looks like you're using 20 really modern tools like MailChimp, Marketo, blah, 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 which is great. It means that you are really kind of at the best of your class. I also see that you have implemented individual marketing pixels. This generally means that you have to send an engineer off to go do that every time. And I found out that you have 8 different identify calls. Well, when customer blah, blah, blah had 8 different identify calls, they had to spend an hour every week for every engineer to manage those identify calls. Would you like to give your engineering team back 20 hours a week in productivity? Like, that's what this looks like. All right, I'll just like kind of quickly go over some of this stuff. Salesforce, they have a Salesforce admin. So BluePrintData.io, my company, has job descriptions. So we actually can find out who's hiring, what are they hiring for, what are keyword pairs in that hiring. Keyword pairs are really important here. So you want to look at not just like Marketo, but like install Marketo, right? That means something different than use Marketo, for example. So you know that they're evaluating a tool. This is SimilarWeb data. SimilarWeb is very expensive. It's really, really good data though. And so this is just the Chrome extension. So what is the category rank here? What are their visits over time? Page duration. So in this case, actually, I can take this particular client. We could take existing customers' conversion rates and look at an average conversion rate bump that their existing customers got based on their traffic. So I can decode pain in that way in this particular case. And then you can also look at percentage of traffic from paid. So in this case, you don't see this here, but if you go to the SimilarWeb website and you look up a site, it actually will show you what percentage of links come from Facebook or LinkedIn. And you can look up things like an average CPM, cost per thousand, I think is what that is, to reverse into what they're paying for paid ads. Sales reps. So basically, this is kind of what the world looks like. There's a traditional TAM, which is, anyone possibly that has a heartbeat you could sell to. Don't sell to those people. So figure out who's in this bucket here, which is like, who are people that you don't really feel strongly about helping, that you can help really great. Then look at the TSM, total serviceable market. within that, you may have multiple ICPs, and then you can watch for these sort of painful moments. So that it might be something like headcount growth. It might be like hiring dispersion. So they are hiring certain titles, or they're hiring someone new in that title. In some cases, we'll actually take our jobs data, delay that job, and try to match that with a person. So I can say, hey, Sophia, it looks like you joined the company like 3 months ago, and I noticed that your job description said that you're responsible for defining your ICP. That's what I do. So, basically, with no, okay, go ahead. Jargon, right? Ideal customer profile. Yeah, well, you got me here. I didn't define that one. Shoot, I'm sorry. Ideal customer profile. So you can find, actually, this is something that if you Google, you should actually get some good results. Don't Google how to cold email, but what is an ICP? That's a good Google. Raphael, thanks for asking that question. I'm sorry. So basically, with no insider baseball, your customers should score high on this effort. All right, let's define a playbook. Actually, let me pause here for a minute. I want to just give anyone a chance to ask questions. Is there anything that I've said so far that you got questions about?
It's been clear. I think it's good. Well,
okay.
I think it's good. Like well, wait, yes. Are you going over how to research companies, right?
The name of the tool. So the mostly the tool that I've shown here is Harmonic. SimilarWeb was above. SpyFu is another good tool that you can use. Built with, BUILTWITH. SayPrimer.com is a really good tool for matching. They have access to lots of different great data. We use them on a lot of our engagements. They're fantastic. Yeah, Harmonic.ai, thank you. Harmony, yeah, do not go to eHarmony. That's a different website. I'm not affiliated with the folks at eHarmony, so that's a different kind of matching. It's personalized though, so that's good. All right.
I can share the list in the replay if you want, so it's good.
All right, so
yes, it's better to have it written, so I can share it with the replay, and I'll share your info also if they want to contact you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And Raphael, I don't speak a lick of French or any language, so I need to apologize for your English. So playbooks. Let's talk about what a playbook is. So a playbook is a structured compilation of public data that we think that you think identifies companies that are likely in pain. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this description, that is based on what you know about your customers. So that's really key. So this generally comes from insights that your customers have. Why did they buy you? Go get on the phone with your customer and say, why us? Why not our competitor? And usually what you're selling against is inaction. Why did you bother? I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort to buy something. Why did you bother with us? There's a great book called The Challenger Sale here, where this is kind of a decoding of the Challenger Sale, where you're actually educating people. When you get on that sales call, you're educating them about their business. So when I pitch my product, I start with that frame that you saw, which is like, and I actually quantify, here's how many sales reps you have. They spend about 4 hours a week personalizing emails. They spend about 4 hours a week on account research, conservatively. That means that you're wasting $1.2 million based on an average salary of $100K of an SDR in their time. Like, why? Don't do that. Like, use me instead. So let's talk about components of a playbook. It's a playbook is comprised only of companies in the TSM, the total serviceable market. Define that one. Focused on one ICP, one ideal customer profile. So don't say the same thing to a fintech CEO that you would say to a B2B SaaS VP of marketing. They don't have the same problems. Don't add them in the same cadence. Has one persona in mind, right? VP of sales, head of sales, but not SDR, right? Those are two different personas. And speaks to structured pain based on data. So in one case, actually, we were scoring terms of service and how outdated they were and comparing that against what has changed in the world of terms of service. This is a very exciting one. So I could actually say, hey, did you know that I noticed that you last updated terms of service next date? And did you know GDPR has been in that date? And it looks like you're operating a business in Europe, and you could be fined 2% of your total margins. So 100% targeting is 100% better than more personalization. So what this looks like is basically your ability to articulate your value against their current pain, matched with the amount of pain the prospect is in. So generally, when people do automated prospecting, sorry. Generally, when people do automated prospecting, the problem here is that they don't know what amount of pain. So sometimes they get it right. And even if they do, they can't articulate your pain, their pain in context of your solution. So that's the problem with automated prospecting is like, hey, Jordan, you've got hands, I've got hands. Like those hands are for buying my product, right? That's what automated prospecting looks like. Manual prospecting, you can articulate your value well, but not in context, usually not in context of the prospect's pain. Now, you can take some of the stuff that I've done and do it manually. It's super time consuming, but that is an option for you too. And you can outsource some of that research by, clicking on the SimilarWeb Chrome extension, et cetera. So when you automate this, you can, because you're decoding this pain for the entire market and taking those insights, you can define the pain the prospect is in and articulate your solution in context of their pain. So it turns out that if you do this really well enough and people have a big old stomach ache and you send the worst email in the worst English about your problem, that people respond because they're like, boy, Jordan, like you nailed it. Like I have that pain. And so you don't have to focus on like, how can I trick him? Like, oh, Jordan, I wear glasses too. We're the best. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. So let's talk about playbooks here. So this is just an example to get you thinking. Don't take these and then sort of weaponize them. Like, oh, I'll just look for people to move companies. Like there's no insight there. It's not going to work. So move companies. So this is one of the only evergreen plays that I do suggest. And it's look at, if you have all of the LinkedIn data of people that have bought your product in the past, watch when they move jobs. You already have a trusted relationship with them. Now, ideally, you can go score their new job, but this is one of the things that I feel comfortable having you automate and saying, hey, Jordan, I know that you bought us at your past company and now you're a new company. Like, does that new company have this problem? Like, and you rated us well, right? So that is an arbitrage of a relationship, and that works. So there's a tool like usergems.com that can automate this that you might take a look at. Competitors of existing customers. This one you also kind of get for free, where you can, if you work with Uber, then you might want to go after Lyft and talk about Uber as the case study. That's something and you can look at like G2 by category here. And if you can speak to the value that you brought to Uber, that's something where you don't have to do a lot of this effort to get a good response here because you're leading with a case study. So in this case, this is a play that I talked about earlier, where we look at a newly hired budget owner, match that with their job description, and talk about what they are responsible for doing based on their job description. Looking at, this is using built with data, so like high density of new tech deployed. We looked at that, the TSM. So are they trying out a bunch of tools? So I'm really proud of this one. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but we ran a campaign where this company had a startup program where they gave you their service for free, and it was based on your funding and the date you were founded. So we looked at companies that qualified for that free program, the date they installed this tool, and it was only for 2 years. So we contacted them like 6 months before their 2-year free trial is about to end, and we told them what market data we had on the price they're about to be charged. So I could send an email like, you have an upcoming $32,000 bill. Are you ready for it? And so people love that. Actually, in some cases, they try to hire the sales reps away because they're like, this is the greatest email I've ever seen. Like, do you want to work for me? I'm like, uh-oh. And so sometimes this backfires against me, but growing sales rep. So like, are they hiring a bunch of sales reps? Harmonic can tell you that. Increasing marketing spend plus raise money in the last of the year. So this is increasing marketing spend. You might be able to tell with like SimilarWeb data. And sorry if you can hear the construction in the back there tearing down my house. Let's see if I can get through this before it's all done.
Sounds like people meditating or something, actually.
Oh yeah. I feel bad for the person that's like trying to sleep while listening to this webinar. International expansion. So we in one case, like we were looking if companies were adding different international sections to their site, or trying to translate, or maybe had bad translation. Or a high friction to do X on their site. So if we found out that one of the great providers that we use is brickstack.com, brickstack.com. Kyle Williams over there is fantastic. He can go score websites for pain. So we can look through like terms of service and do they have a complicated form on their website? So really kind of cool stuff. So we'll score hundreds of thousands of websites that way. So what does messaging look like, right? The holy grail, the thing that you've been waiting for, it is here. The key with messaging is match the pain, and a message becomes very simple when you have identified the pain. So, and now is a good time to prepare your go-to-market hot takes. So get your answers ready and fire them off in a chat in a second here. Subject is what's changed now? Why are they in a right place to buy your product? And tease that. Don't describe everything you do in great detail in the subject line. Just tease it. Hi first, saw that Blueprint had a 30% traffic increase in the last 6 months. You've tripled your traffic coming from paid ads, and that your form is 3 clicks deep and has 12 different fields filled out. Holloway was in your shoes 6 months ago. Like you, they were around the same Alexa rank, and they sell smart contracts too. So similar industry. They used to get 90 demos a day booked. Now they're at 950 demos a day with the same traffic as you. Want to know exactly how Holloway 10x their meetings booked in less than 6 months? So that's what this looks like, and you can do it at scale. All right, let's do go-to-market hot take. So I think that how is that?
Wait, Vicenzo was the one who sent it first. It's at the beginning of the presentation.
Yeah.
Well, yes, he sent his Calendly, but I think he sent his. Wait, I'm looking for.
I think the first one I saw was Hello Zest. So secure screen recording for exceptional support. Okay, so this is pure confusion. And the first things that come to mind, and I think who sent this? Maxime. What is the correct pronunciation of that name?
Maxime.
Maxime. Did I do that right? Max. Sorry, Max. Okay, so Max, let me make sure I understand how small these. You have some legit companies on your site. Oh, I love this like cursor thing. So are you guys reducing are you improving customer satisfaction? Are you reducing tickets? I'm at hellozest.io if anyone. Actually, I guess I can put that over here. So yeah, can you talk to me about exactly the problem that you're solving? So screen recording for exceptional support. What can you do? Request recordings from users. Okay. Oh, so this to me is like bug resolution. So this is like reducing the back and forth with understand customer requests. So, okay. So yeah, this is back and forth with customers. Okay, great. Close tickets, fast screen recordings, blur sensitive data. Oh, okay. Sensitive data. That's a good one. I'm just making some notes here. Controller logs. Ooh, okay. Tech. This is fantastic. This is good service. Integration to help desk. All right. So here's what's coming to my mind. First, I want to understand help desk. So I'm going to go score the market by using built with to determine who's using Zendesk, Freshchat, Intercom, or Help Scout. This is like an important sort of table stakes. Within your web app. So who has a web app? So one way I could use Brickstack to figure out if they have a web app. I might also look at, I know that I don't know if you guys do this, but I know there's a service that if you take a screenshot on an iOS app, it'll say, hey, do you want to provide feedback? So I definitely want to have that understanding. Increase. Oh, this is amazing. Okay. So customer satisfaction, I'm going to go score these websites for who has a CSAT score. So I'm going to scroll through their Zendesk implementation, who has a rating system, who has lots of ratings in their rating system. I'm going to look at what is the number of customer reps that they have, right? In first level support resolution. So I'm going to see if there's maybe they have complex steps on their site. So one of the things that we had, I was chatting with Brickstack about is actually scoring the language on their support site. So like if you go to Bombas, for example, their return policy is like 2 lines. They're like, we'll take anything forever. So it's like, oh, okay. They clearly know that there's a cost of returns here. But if they said, well, in the first day of the 7th Lunar New Year, then we will take a return, but not if you've opened the top of the package, right? So you really want to find proxies for this. So increase first reply closures. again, what this might be different titles at a company. So it might be different first level, second managers to identify that they have a complex recording structure to sort of see what this looks like. Average time for resolution. Yeah, you might look at this as who's investing in support, honestly. So like who has a lot of support articles on their site, who has like relative to their total employees, who has a lot of folks in support. I would go score by GDPR and CCPA, so you can say how important that is. Secure by design. So one of the things that I've done in the past is look at SOC 2 compliant companies and data encryption. So like, do they have a security dot? So now I can write a sentence like, hey, Jordan, I see that you're using Zendesk and Intercom, and I noticed that you have thousands of likes on your support site and that you're collecting customer satisfaction. So it seems like this is really important to you. And combined with the fact that you have a really intricate API, and it seems like that's a pretty complicated tool, it must be really hard for you to help resolve customer issues. Actually, I'm gonna go one layer deep. One of the things that we did is I actually looked at status pages. So there's an Atlassian tool that tracks status pages. So I can say, and I noticed that your last outage was 120 hours. Like, do you think that you could have reduced that if you would have had better customer context about why that outage occurred? When a customer like you used us, they reduced CSAT by X%, and they were able to save Y dollars or improve CSAT by Z%. And by the way, I see that you're SOC 2 compliant. We're a SOC 2 compliant company. So, all right, that's your hot take. That was a good one. Thanks, Max. All right, Candace. Oh boy, this is hard. There are some of these, this is hard. Community involvement, donation and grant matching, paying donations, donation sponsorship and grant management by storing all requests in one location. Okay. Event management. Okay, event management. So now I want to say like what kind of events are people running, right? So are they running in-person events? Do they have an event section on their website? Maybe they're on an events tool like Meetup here. Do they have an events manager? What is the sort of headcount of events here? Volunteer service tracking. You might look at volunteer titles on LinkedIn. Again, most of this is going to happen when people have a public presence. So I don't know if this is necessarily related. Community and V&R investment. So I don't know if they have to talk about this in any terms in their website, but that's something that you could look for. If there's someone that actually gives these exams, or there's a certification on LinkedIn, you can search for keywords of who has this certification. This is a challenge because, at least from the website, I don't really have a good sense of the pain that this solves, like software streaming community involvement. Generally, this gets this is easier to do when you have a very clear value prop, like the last one that we looked at. It's like reduce customer satisfaction, like streamline issues, right? That it's easier to get down to time, money, or risk in that case. But those are the types of things that I would look for. So. All right, let's see. We've got an explainer video company here. Oh, okay, wait, sorry, I skip this guy. So unfortunately, I don't have as many go-to-market hot takes for this particular example, but those are the types of things that I would look for. Employee headcount, certification, to be able to quantify folks in your market. I can't do anything with this. This is did it just push me to log in? Okay. Creator economy, ad network, clients, agency, brands, performance marketers, and media buyers. We offer better conversions and data and more engaging content programmatically versus hand-to-hand negotiations. Oh, sorry, did I get it wrong? Okay. There we go. Great. The video made simple. Oh, Beyond Meat. I love Beyond Meat. Bring your ideas to life. I could I could get rid of burgers if I could just eat Beyond Meat. Bring your ideas to life. Make amazing videos. Get paid. Okay, this is amazing. Get paid is great. So what you want to do is actually, this is amazing. You have different categories here. So here's what I would do. I would go get Instagram data, go get follower data, go chat with those followers in the food, sports, fitness, esports, outdoors, beauty, and wellness category. This is hard because you're going to want to talk to all of them, but do it one by one. And then like, hey, Jordan, I see that you're an influencer in the wellness category, and I noticed that you have taken on some brand content, but I saw that your video only had 3,000 views. When someone with your exact same follower account used our system to create a video, it had Y number of views, which generally equated to them for more than a $10,000 bump in conversions. Watch it grow. Track your earnings and watch your viewers grow all in one dashboard. So yeah, so I would talk about this viewer growth too. Is super important to influencers. So I would say, hey, after blah, blah, blah signed up for us in this same category, they had a 50% increase in view rate. And that led to a Z amount of additional revenue. So this is actually going to be a fairly good one because you can talk about money, but that's what the product does. And so I think you got a great case here to do this by paying. And it looks like you have a good, like, at least based on the website, that you guys have some good understanding about who your customers are, what industries they are. You just need really great data and to reverse into viewer count and conversion rates for your existing customers and share that with new customers. All right. I can't help but cite this in Spanish, sadly. Okay. I actually, I don't know that I'm going to be able to help here. Yeah, this is look at this. Google's like going to help me out. Okay, so this is a pretty commoditized space. Just video explainers are hard because I don't know what the difference is here. Okay, recruiting videos, image films. Yeah. Oh, IT and the software industry. Okay, that's good. So I think what I might do is strategy talk. Okay. It feels like most of, I like this dancing guy. It feels like most of this value here is actually going to be in the strategy talk. That the problem is that you get a bunch of, pardon my French, a bunch of dorks that are great technologists here that can't communicate that to customers. Like, okay, well, what does that do? And so I might look at who has engineering only teams, like their founders are all engineers. They're maybe relatively early. You go on their website, there's a lot of jargon. Like, can you identify jargon? You see a lot of jargon. And I don't know, maybe they have a poor website. I don't know. But those are the types of patterns that I might look for. I would look for competitors of these customers. So, all right. Oh, what about for brands? Okay. Adam, if you want to contact me, I'm happy to chat with you more about stuff for brands. Like, I think you've got a really good case here, and I will happy to make my time available for you. Same with everyone as well. Like, feel free to contact me. You're spending so much time with me. I'm grateful for that. I will spend time with you. So, streamline data access and security with DataSecOps. This is hard. Boy, this is hard because engineers hate cold email. Boy, they hate cold email. This is great. This company knows what the hell's up. Test drive for sure. Engineers loved it. They're like, don't ever email me. I want to use something. So what I might suggest here is generally I have found that talking to engineers is either you have a product that is so transformative that they can't build themselves. Like the old joke is like, what's the difference between a marketer and an engineer? A marketer knows they're not an engineer, right? And so you really have to, these folks want to build things. They're builders. And so when you come to them and say, I have a house that's better than any house you ever built, they'll say, I can build a house. I'm a house builder. So you really need to be able to, I definitely would focus on ads here, and I would focus on the product-led growth motion. So this kind of test drive. And then I would look at, like we looked at, I talked a little about earlier, like the status pages. So how long they were down for, right? Like, what are public indicators that they actually have a problem here? I might look at title dispersion. So do they have build engineers, and do they have more? Like I actually did some work for a DevOps company. It's hard. But one of the things that we looked at was ratio of DevOps engineers to all engineers. And I want to say that Netflix had like 30% DevOps engineers. Apple, Dropbox, Amazon were at like 25%. So looking at ratios and be like, oh, actually you have way too many, or you're like way under resourced on DevOps, you should use us to do that. I don't know what DevSecOps is. My guess is that means security. Like I use jargon too, so you use jargon too. Data engineers and data architects. So security and compliance. So a good way to do this is like Brickstack would be a great data source for you here. They can score what's happening in legal and terms and conditions. They can look if security is an important part of that company's business. They can look for just a variety of things about what the company cares about to know that this is really important to them, that like security is on their mind. So like there was there's a great company, Command Bar. So this is like the type of company that you might, this company is too small for you. But one of the things, they have like a gigantic like a system status, a change log. They have like a whole security section, right? So these are indicators that this company really cares about security, right? Here's their compliance. Look at, they've got documentation and product security and reports and access control. And so this is something that if you can structure this information with a tool like Brickstack, you can go to them and really talk about their pain. BRICKSTACK.com. The website is going to be super underwhelming. Kyle Williams is his name. You can find him on LinkedIn. He is fantastic. So their website is depressingly sad. It's a diamond in the rough. So, but contact Kyle. He will help you out. All right, let's see what do we got next. I hope, is this helpful for people? Like, are you guys learning stuff, or am I just talking into a void? I mean, are you guys?
You're learning a lot. I think people is loving it, so it's perfect.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, great. This is like, sometimes you just don't know in the webinars you're talking to yourself. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got? Getfairplay.com. Capital. Translate. Is this going to, yes, no, I don't want it in Spanish. Smart capital to grow your online sales. Oh yeah, I love these businesses. Actually, so is this a competitor to Clearbank? Am I understanding this right? Okay, so oh boy, we may be working with them, so I'm going to give up my secret sauce here. You got me. I'll give it up. All right. So one of the things that get capital in 2 weeks for marketing, inventory, logistics, and with only a fixed commission. So what you might want to do is this is going to be probably easiest in e-commerce, and the best way to do this is actually figure out who are people that are having challenges. So this is, again, I don't mean to harp on this, but Brickstack is going to be a pretty good data source here. There's another, for e-commerce specifically, it is storeleads.app. So what you really want to know is like who's growing their traffic fast, who has a lot of out of stock, who is maybe like and not hiring, right? So you know that they're growing fast, they're getting a lot of traffic, they're not hiring, they're struggling to keep up. You could probably even sort of decode how many of their products are out of stock. So that might be an inventory thing. If you look at, you might look at marketing spend with tools like SimilarWeb to say, oh, okay, well, what kind of marketing spend do they have here? Is shipping. So this one's going to be a little hard because it's a little bit down the flow, but you might look at their shipping options. So there may be shipping integrations that you can look at here, but you want to have an understanding, are they shipping in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? And then you want to be able to take your insights from existing customers about, hey, when Bob's Donuts, which by the way, Bob's Donuts in San Francisco is delicious, but go to the one on Polk Street if you ever visit. The donuts are delicious, 24/7, 363, only closed 2 days out of the year. But you want to look at how did a similar company use you, spend a bunch of money in marketing, and then talk about their conversion rate. So you'll say like, hey, when they used us to have a bunch of money in Facebook ads, they had a 3% conversion rate, and that translated to X amount of dollars. Inventory. So inventory, you can look at like delays here. I ordered some masks from Mask Lab, and they just like didn't respond to me for the longest time. Like a lot of stuff was out of stock. And like a month later, I'm like, yo, is this happening? And they're like, yeah, we sent it. So, so they probably need your service. All right. So what do we got? What's next? That's helpful. iFlow. It's like oh boy, this must be a gigantic customer. When someone writes a sentence like this and I don't know what they do, it means they have lots and lots of money. Creative collaboration reinvented. Boy, okay. Yep, lots of money. Look at this. These guys are so successful. Fast, accurate feedback, collaborative discussion, annotated comments, powerful approval workflows. Okay. Sign off on creative projects. Oh, okay. So these are for designers, I think. Reduction to, oh, I love this. Reduction in time spent managing review and approval of creative content. Okay, so you really want to figure out how can you find a proxy for creative content. That might be the number of designers that they have. You could even look at crazy things like, does their website reflow, right? Who has that eye? So like, do they have a creative director? Like there's, actually, we have some data on this where we look at illustration. So one of the ways that we think about this is like, who's hiring someone that they have to hand draw illustrations, right? That's insane. Who's doing that? Well, companies that love design are doing that, right? So that's what you want to find. Who really, really cares about design? Who does it matter the most to? Oh, video and motion. Okay, video motion projects, right? Who's producing a lot of videos, right? So this to me is like brilliant.org or masterclass, right? So you want to score to see a video is an important part of their production. So a Brickstack would be a good one here because they can go score H1, so the headers of all these companies, and say, is video really key? Digital web and static files. Yeah, I don't know how you'd be able to. I mean, maybe you could look for this in job descriptions too, like for familiarity with Dropbox or Box. Oh, integrations. This is easy, right? You can totally find this integrations. You can get some of this to jobs data from us, or you can get a lot of this from Built With too. So you can kind of start to understand what does their tech stack look like. Adobe Creative Cloud is probably going to show up in job descriptions, but some of these are hard. Intake forms. That this is something that you can determine on their website. Like I think that they might have like a PR thing or like apply to be a sponsor. There may be some other public indications of this. Cloud-based, secure, fast, reliable. Yeah, this is a cool product. Whoa, wow. Okay, you got your work cut out for it. Look at all these solutions. You're going to have to do this uniquely to each solution here. So you're not going to talk to a healthcare company the same that you would a video production company. So you really need to pick like, where does most of your revenue come from? What sales cycles are fastest? Like, oh, this is amazing. Like this, okay. I dragged you under the mud and I shouldn't have. You did this vertical section is really good. So you got to pick though. These are too many for you to do a serious go-to-market for each of them. Pick this off one by one and rank order it, especially who has the most value to be gained and what's like the fastest sales cycle and their most expensive deal. So this is boy, I love this tool. Trade engineers, data architects. Okay, let's see. How are we doing on time? We have till 11.
It's good. We have like 5 more minutes, so it's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Save energy.
So I think it's good.
Okay. Oh boy, I was actually doing something this in a previous life. This is hard. So what I would say, this is hard because this is a B2C play, but there's a great data set, estated.com, estated.com. They have amazing data here, and I think that they're relatively reasonably priced. I spent a lot of time looking at data sets here. And I think they can tell you about the basement too. So one of the crazy things, it's so crazy. One of the things that we did is we looked at house postings, and we looked at the images of the postings and ran machine learning against the images and found basements that had water damage in them, so that this guy that was doing a water damage thing could address. God, there's another company I know here that does this kind of AI scoring on home images, but that's what I would probably look at. Rising energy costs. God, there's another company that does these heat pumps that's really good. So you might look at who has high energy costs based on their zip code, their their zip code, the square footage. Estate will actually tell you what type of, they will tell you what, what kind of basement they have, all that kind of stuff. So, so estate is probably a good bet. And they also will tell you the property condition and the year it was made. So you probably can make some assumptions about insulation there. Solar attic fans. Yeah, you might also, we've scored homes in the past for solar based on machine learning too. You can also ship a lot of this to Mechanical Turk. So you can send screenshots of the roof to Mechanical Turk and get some data on solar there. Google Sunroof has some really good data too about how many hours sunlight per year which roofs are great. All right, so this is not B2B though. So I'm not going to be as useful there. All right. All right, last one here. Oh, text by choice. You're going to have to message me for text by choice. Let's see, Nourish Doc. I might not be able to help with this one. No. Okay, well, this is hard. Yeah, I have only one thought here, and actually I can go to the next one here. But my only thought here is that if you are selling to businesses, again, my expertise is B2B, you can decode what they care about on their about section to understand if wellness is important to them. So is one of their cultural values like emotional well-being? Do they talk about things like DE&I? I don't know if you guys do diversity, equity, inclusion, but you can look for those type of cultural values and then go to folks and say, hey, I noticed that you're a remote first company, that you really care about wellness, and that you have a wellness budget. Like I think Airtable has like a crazy wellness budget, and then message according to that. All right, do we have time for one more, a quick one?
Yes, let's do a last one. It's good.
Okay. I didn't want to leave Nazar out. I felt bad. Increase customer retention, engagement, and satisfaction with text message notifications. All right. I bet you, yeah, this is great. Look at this. You got open rates, right? So what I might do is actually look for spam domain scores. So the MX Toolbox will tell you if a company has a high spam rate. So you might actually figure out who has like bad emails, or they're not getting great responses there. You could also, Brickstack is a good one here because they will be able to tell you if the website has like a text capture form. So you'll be able to know if they have text capture. Also kind of funny that you guys have an email here instead of a text message to get support. So you should change that. All right, what else? Notify faster. Okay, so really you want to figure out what are companies that have a business model where notification is really important. So that might be like API companies where like notification is super important. Save time and money, costly marketing services. So you might be able to figure out, are they using MailChimp? Like approximately how much traffic do they have? So you can kind of assume their email capture rate over time. So you can say, all right, well, how much money are you spending on emails? Quick implementations, email browser. Yeah, maybe I'm actually not getting the customer right, but those are some things that oh yeah, apartment communities. Yeah, this is harder because these folks don't have as much data online. So I was talking more about it from a B2B use case or in a sort of software way. Yeah, maybe my opinions here are going to be a little bit tailored here because you're selling to different folks. But all right. And by the way, his email, if you want to just email him directly, it's kyle@brickstack.com. So you can just email, oh boy, kyle@brickstack.com. There you go. All right. Well, that's all I have for you. I'm so grateful that you spent so much of your day with me. I can't thank you all enough for investing time.
We learned a lot. It was really useful. I think we learned a different side of cold emails. So it's really nice to have you here. I will send you all, well, Jordan already sent it here, but I will send you in the replay. We will have the list, the contact, and the whole series if you want to watch it. So thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Jordan, again. It was really, really great.
Thank you so much for managing this and for inviting me. I'm so grateful.
So see you all in the next episode. Sorry. And good morning in San Francisco, not Los Angeles. And good
I will email you from Los Angeles, though.
I don't know why I thought you were from Los Angeles, but okay. Now I know it's San Francisco.
It's because I look so good with the camera. Like, you get that's an LA thing.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Yes. So thank you very much all for coming, and we'll see you in the next episode. And I'll send you all the data that we shared today. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Before we say goodbye, I won't be able to talk to you later because I will cut the whole webinar, but I will send you an email. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Bye, everyone. Thanks.